welcome to the Workers Challenge. We've got a great show for you. Kathy Pierman is going to be talking about ways that you can communicate with people using forms. I'm going to be sharing ways that you can let people know how much you appreciate them and take better care of the workers that you have. And then our Associate Pastor David Morgan is going to be talking about better ways of communication. And so this program is designed to help you communicate better with the workers and staff that God's given you. And recently out at Camp Dry Gulch, we had some workers out there, and I asked them some questions about communication and feeling appreciated, and maybe you felt like some of these folks. Let's go out to camp right now. Hello, we're here at Camp Dry Gulch, and I've got some workers right here. Excuse me, ma'am. This is a children's worker, and we're talking this month about the importance of communication. And are you a children's worker?
Yes, sir.
Do you like it when your pastor and different folks communicate with you and let you know what's happening?
Yes, I do.
What do you think a real important key to communication is?
Making the vision plain, and just we had a think tank on the way over, and it was wonderful. We get together and talk about what our goals are and what our plans are for the future.
That's great. Hey, let's go talk to some other folks and see what they think about communication.
Definitely imparting your vision to them, let them know where you stand with the children.
Well, I'm a director of a puppet team, and I would say one of the keys is that I do my homework and prepare before time, and then share with them and make it exciting for them, and make sure they know what they're doing.
Well, with communication, we meet them on their level and we excite them about what they're doing. We prepare them, we provide curriculum for them, and we really encourage them to serve not only the children but the parents in the church. And that's what's really exciting about what we do. It's a real ministry twofold.
All right. Well, I'm here with Pastor Dave and Angela, and they came all the way from North Carolina to be on the Workers Challenge. Thanks for coming, Dave. And what do you do to communicate with your workers there at the church in Clemens?
Well, we do a couple things. We have meetings once every other month. We try our best, if we can have an opportunity, to go out to lunch with them. My wife will go out with the ladies and I'll go out with the guys and just try to spend time not just at church but away from it. Have them over into our homes, find times that we can fellowship together rather than just at work or at church, we'd call it, but just to get involved in their lives personally.
I'm here with Tom and Dick, two of the folks that work at Camp Dry Gulch. And guys, what do you think about the importance of communication with your workers? All right, well, thank you so much. And I think a cat's got their tongue or something. Now, what do you do to communicate with all the teachers and workers that you have at your church?
We have a bi-monthly meeting, and we use the Workers Challenge training when it's appropriate, and we study books of the Bible, and we have bring in different speakers to speak on topics.
What do you do to communicate with the teachers there?
Well, we have a monthly teacher seminar, training seminar, and also then we do a weekly with each different area, and then try to also have a brainstorming session each week with our workers and so forth.
What do you do to communicate with teachers there at the church?
With teachers, well, we always have a monthly meeting that we meet with them and we go over things, and we also have a monthly meeting individually with the nursery and the preschool and our grades 1 to 6, and we meet and we go over things just in those individual classrooms.
You know, communication plays an important part in your children's ministry. You can be a great puppeteer, or you can do great with object lessons, but if you don't communicate with your workers, you're not going to have a real effective ministry. So we want you to stay tuned right here on the Workers Challenge.
Now available from Willie George Ministries for your summer children's program, Gospel Bill's Video Kids Crusade, featuring the Gunslinger. Each kit comes complete with handbills, posters, 50 Gunslinger comic books, a director's guidebook, and the Gunslinger 4-part Video Crusade series. Each 60-minute video includes song services, puppet skits, a music video, and the exciting new drama, The Gunslinger, featuring Kenneth Copeland. To order, call 1-800-888-7856.
Today I want to give you some ways that you can effectively let your teachers and workers know that you appreciate them. You might say, Brother Jim, but I need more workers. That's what I need first. I need more workers. Well, it just might be that one of the reasons why you don't have any more workers is you're not taking good care of the ones you have. You know, the Word of God teaches a principle that's very true. And that principle is that we need to be a good steward. Now, we understand that in money. We understand that in the things that God has blessed us, abilities and talents. But I believe it's also true with our workers. I believe unless we're a good steward with the workers that we already have, if you're not faithful with the few workers that you have, how is God going to make you a ruler over much? You need to zero in and really take good care of the workers that you have in your local church and let them know how much you appreciate them. You know, one of the most important words or sayings that you could ever learn to say in working with people is two little words called thank you. And we need to learn about thanks. And I want to give you some ways that you can start saying thank you and communicating thank you to the workers you have. And I guarantee you, if you do these things, then you're going to see a change in the workers you have. You're also going to find out that those workers are going to let other people know how much you appreciate them and what a blessing it is to be a part of the children's ministry staff at your church. And we need to learn to communicate and let people know, hey, I appreciate you. Now, how many of you out there really and truly like it when folks come to you and say, hey, I appreciate you. I appreciate what you're doing. We all like to hear we're doing a good job. And so if you like to hear it, then also the people that you work with like to hear it. And the first thing you need to do is begin to say it. When you communicate and see folks, when you make your rounds and go from classroom to classroom, you need to let people know, I appreciate you. You know, here at Church on the Move, I teach boys and girls one of our services. I also, on another service, I just use that time to go from all of our classrooms, from the youth department all the way to the nursery, and stick my head in and let people see what's happening. You know, I've started noticing that when I communicate with those nursery workers, man, we appreciate you working with our kids. We appreciate what you're doing in this class. When I start noticing some of the different changes that they've done in the scenery, the new puppet stages and the things that they've added, and I start commenting and letting folks know, hey, I appreciate you. Do you know that I've noticed a whole difference in their attitude and their counsel and how they act and regarding the ministry when we just learn to say thank you. We need to say thank you at all times, not just in the classroom, but when we see them out at the mall or see them at different places outside the church, we need to learn to start saying thank you and let people know, I appreciate you. Not only do we need to begin to say it, but I believe we need to write it as well. In all of our different communications, do you know that one of the things that we've started doing is just from time to time I write a letter to our workers and just let them know that we appreciate them. Sometimes it's a form letter. But you know what? I've noticed that even in form letters, when you tell people how much you appreciate them, they'd rather have a form letter telling them about good things than any other kind of letter. You know, we all like to have mail that's not a bill or not that's bad news. And even a form letter, if you're communicating with people, hey, I appreciate what you're doing. Thank you for helping. You know, we've also started writing down a lot of our announcements and different things. We've started looking at ways that we can communicate better. And in all those announcements and different things, why not write how much we appreciate what folks doing? Comment on what's happening in the nursery class. Comment on what's happening in preschool area. Comment on what's happening in elementary. Comment on all these different things and say, hey, I appreciate what you're doing for the Lord. So we need to write it. We need to say it. We need to write it. But something else that's very important, and we need to show it. And I believe that as we start doing things to let people know I appreciate you. Why not send a birthday card to all the different folks that work for you and remember their birthday or their anniversaries? If you have a church bookstore, you might even want to have a little gift certificate that they can cash in as a birthday present and say, man, I appreciate what you do here at our church. Also, you might want to have a special meeting where you have an appreciation dinner for all of your workers, have a special speaker and just say, hey, thanks for what you do. If you don't want to have a big dinner, why not at one of your workers' meetings or a fellowship bring in a special dessert, a pie. We have Tippins pies here in Tulsa that all of our workers love it when we have Tippins pies, and let them know, hey, we appreciate what you're doing. And so we need to learn to show it. We need to say it. We need to write it. And as you start letting people know, I appreciate you, as you let workers know, thanks for what you're doing. And another thing is to always check up on folks. When people have come to you and they've told you about a problem that's in their class or something, why not write them a little note and thank them for coming to you? Why not let them know that, hey, I'm glad that you took the time to let me know about that praise report that was going on in your class. When they come to you and talk about what God's doing in little Johnny's life, you need to write them back and say, hey, thanks for sharing that with me. And if anything else is going on in your class, let me know what's happening. See, we need to communicate and let people know that I appreciate you. Many times in our churches, we just hand folks the Sunday school book or the curriculum. We throw them in a classroom, slam the door, and tell them we'll see them when Jesus comes back. But we need to let folks know, hey, I appreciate what you're doing. You know, if you have a heavy load and someone helps you with that, man, that's something that you need to show appreciation for, because there's been times when Brother Jim's trying to do things all by himself, and I've made a real mess out of it. And the fact that other people are sharing that load and helping you and doing these things, that's a tremendous blessing. And we need to write down our communication and our thanks to people. We need to learn to say thank you. And at the same time, we need to start looking at ways that we can communicate these things with other people. Why not, if someone's gone out of their way, take them out to eat or have a special dinner. You might even want to send flowers. If somebody really went out of their way, we had a lady one time to make over 500 cupcakes. And I believe we need to learn to say thanks. And if you'll do that, then your workers will appreciate you as well.
I want to share with you today some principles of communication that I believe will be helpful to you in your working relationships with other people in the church, with your co-workers. Some of these principles will be very beneficial for those of you that are married in your relationships with your family, and even on your job. The principles that I believe that we'll share with you today will help you in a number of different areas. You know, communication is something that is extremely important. I believe that communication is the lifeblood to any relationship. Just like our physical bodies need blood to remain healthy and strong, relationships need effective communication to be strong and to be healthy. Anytime communication is absent or poor, we find that relationships become very mechanical, very cold, and that the relationship itself begins to deteriorate. And so I want to share some truths with you on how to make your communication more effective, because everybody communicates. I mean, even when somebody is giving somebody else the silent treatment or the cold shoulder, so to speak, we are communicating something, but that doesn't necessarily mean that our communication is effective. And so I want to share some truths with you today on how to make your communication more effective. All right, number one, the goal of communication. We have a goal that we want to arrive at when we're communicating with someone else or when we're communicating with a group of people. And that goal is understanding. If I talk to you for 5 minutes or 10 minutes and you leave my presence scratching your head wondering what it was that I talked with you about, then I really didn't communicate with you effectively because you didn't understand what I said. I did communicate with you for 5 or 10 minutes, but my communication was not effective because you did not understand what I was trying to convey. And so it's important then to keep our goal in mind, and our goal for communication is understanding. There are 3 principal ingredients that go into achieving this goal, and that is, number 1, what you say, number 2, how you say it, and then number 3, how it's heard. Those are 3 primary ingredients that go into making communication more effective so that understanding is the result. What you say, how you say it, and then how it's heard. Then something else that goes into arriving at the goal of understanding is understanding the fullness of communication. A lot of times people miscommunicate because they're only communicating just certain aspects or certain parts of communication. I want to share with you a very practical tool that I believe will be beneficial to you. If you have a piece of paper and a pencil, you might draw a circle on that piece of paper. Then within the larger circle, draw a fairly large circle. Then within the larger circle, draw a smaller circle. And in that small circle, write subject. And so, in other words, the small circle represents whatever it is that you want to communicate about. On the outside of the bigger circle, you can put 5 different lines, stretch out, or you could make them spokes from the smaller circle. And on one line, put, I think that. On the second line, put, I feel. On the third line, put, I sense. On the fourth line, put, I want and I need. And on the fifth line, put, new plan. You see, a lot of times people communicate with each other, but they don't communicate effectively because they don't incorporate the different parts of communication that go into making it more effective, so that a new plan can evolve in a situation. Perhaps, let's use the example of, should we buy a dog for our family? So that's what we're going to communicate about, or what we want to talk about. So we put the dog in the center of the circle. And so everybody who's involved in that decision gets to talk about whether we should get a dog. And maybe the old plan was we're not going to have a dog. But now you go around the wheel. What do you think about getting a dog? Well, I think a dog's going to cost extra money. I think a dog means we're going to have to get a fence for the backyard. I think a dog means we're going to have to get our carpets cleaned every now and then. Your different thoughts concerning a dog. Then you go to your feelings. How do you feel about getting a dog? Well, getting a dog makes me feel warm and fuzzy because I always had a dog when I was growing up. Getting a dog makes me feel angry or frustrated because I know all of the extra work that's involved with it. What are your feelings about having a dog? Then what do you sense about a dog? And in sense, I mean your 5 physical senses, what you taste, touch, smell, hear, those particular items. I see my children playing with the neighbor's dog. I hear my children saying, Daddy, I sure would like a dog. What do you pick up through your senses about whatever it is that you're talking about? Then you go to your wants and your needs. Do you want a dog? Do you need a dog? And then once all of that information is gathered, and the husband has a part to play in that, the wife has a part to play in that, or if it's a job decision or a working decision, or the different people that we're working with get to add all of their parts into that, then we're better able to come up with a new plan. And I believe that if you incorporate that into some of your meetings, into some of your relationships, that's a practical tool that can be very beneficial to you in gathering all the necessary information that it takes to come up with an effective plan, or to make your communication effective so that understanding can result. Then I think it's important to understand that there are communication differences between men and women. And we'll just touch on that very briefly. Number one, we need to respect our differences as male and females. And a lot of times we make jokes about our communication differences between men and women, but we need to respect our differences. God gave to men and women 2 different ways of viewing things and looking at things. And each one of those is beneficial. And so let me just share a couple general things with you. And that is this. Number one, men are headliners and women are detail people. If you talk to a man and you say, ask him about his day. How was your day? Good. Everything go okay? Yeah. No problems? Nope. You just get headlines. Just one word, one phrase, one sentence answers that might cover a whole day. Whereas right on the other hand, if you talk to a woman, you ask her, well, how was your day? And boy, she'll start in at 8:30 and just go in all the way up till noon, tell you what she had for lunch, and then just go right on up till supper time, and just give you all of the details of the day. And so men are headliners, women are detail people. There's times when we need to just look for more topical things to talk about or discuss, or when just the highlights are advantageous. And then there are times when the details are more important, so we need to learn how to incorporate those together. Also, as far as differences go, men are facts-oriented and women are feelings-oriented. A man runs over a cat. A man's driving a car down the road, runs over a cat. And to most men, I mean, that's no big deal. I mean, it's just one less mouth to feed. Save the planet. I mean, it's not that big of a deal. But if a woman runs over a cat, I mean, it's almost the same thing as running over a child. I mean, we get out. I mean, we rush the cat to the emergency room at the hospital. I mean, and that's because women are more feelings orientated, men are more facts orientated. And these are just some fundamental differences between the way that men and women relate, and we need to respect those differences and learn how to listen to those differences and when each one of those differences is applicable to whatever it is that we're communicating about. And then lastly, let me share with you just some scriptural guidelines for resolving conflict or differences that we have. In Isaiah chapter 1 and verse 18, the Lord said, "Come and let us reason together." If we're going to resolve conflict and differences, then we need to be able to sit down and reason out some of these different things that we differ on or that we have conflict over. And you might write these down. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2, James chapter 1 and verse 19, it talks about being willing to listen. We need to be willing to listen to the other person. Proverbs chapter 15 and verse 1 and Ephesians chapter 4 and verse 29 talk about returning an answer softly or speaking kindly or speaking to minister grace and help to the hearers. And I believe that if we'll incorporate and meditate on these scriptural guidelines, that will help us to resolve our differences. So these are just some principles that go into effective communication, making communication more effective. That'll help you at church, it'll help you at home, it'll help you in all your relationships in life.
I've been out of jail now for 2 years, and now I'm riding on the right side of the law.
Raise your right hand, place your left hand on the Bible, and repeat after me. I do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear.
Nobody can pass up a good drink.
To the best of my ability.
To the best of my ability.
I don't believe Slim's worth saving. He's nothing but a two-bit gunslinger now.
Thank you for Wichita Slim's deliverance.
You're a gunslinger, and you're the best there is.
Well, you're gonna have to fill me in on everything. My memory is gone.
He's a dead man, and so are you.
So help me God.
So help me God.
One of the most effective ways to communicate with people is through using paperwork or forms. And we have Kathy Pierman, who is our preschool director here at Church on the Move. And Kathy does a great job coordinating all the different workers that we have here at Church on the Move. And Kathy, it's good to have you on the Workers Challenge. Now, how many workers do you work with every week here at Church on the Move?
I have about 100.
About 100 workers, and you have to get them all here. You have to get them in the right class at the right time, and I'm sure there's all kind of different levels of commitment, folks that work once a month, twice a month, and different things. Well, how do you let these folks know that they're scheduled to work?
Well, at the end of each month, I send out a copy of our schedule that tells them for the next month when they're working and where.
So you have every week who's going to be in which class and all the different things. Now, I notice here also that you have phone numbers of different workers and teachers and folks to call, and reminders of different things that are coming up, and you make this every month and send it out.
Yes,
now,
right.
What if someone forgets to look at their schedule? If they don't remember to look at their schedule, what do you do?
Well, we have a few people that occasionally will forget, and I send them a copy of this postcard. It's just a reminder that their turn to work is coming up.
So every worker, if they don't work in an every week situation, you remind them that we're counting on them. So that's great. And I see that it's just a simple little postcard, and you can just put a stamp right there and prepare that. That's really great. Now, do folks sometimes, even after you remind them, you made a schedule, you remind them, do folks still miss sometimes?
Yes,
they do.
still forget.
And then what do you do?
Well, I have another postcard that I send that just tells them, I'm sorry you couldn't be here, we missed you. If there's a problem, please let us know and we'll correct the scheduling problem.
That's great. And so does this really work, Kathy? Do people respond that you know that we're counting on you and we missed you? That's great. Now also, I've noticed that people with 100 different workers and folks having to tell you about different things like scissors and glue sticks and all this different stuff they need. How do you communicate those kind of items?
Okay, well, I have a form here that they use to let me know what they're going to be needing, anything that they're going to be needing they know in advance they're going to be needing. They can fill out on here anything that they run out of.
That's great. So they don't have to have a private meeting with you or call you. They can just have a form that communicates and does the work of a meeting. Boy, that's great. Now, you know, forms can be your friends. When you start to communicate and work with a lot of workers, then it's not too much to ask folks to fill out forms. You know, we use forms to let people know exactly how many was in class. There's other forms for people when they're trying to work in our departments and different things to let them pick of all the different locations. So forms can be your friend and help you to communicate great in your local church. Thank you so much. Last month on the Workers Challenge, I told you about a brand new ministry starting here at Willie George Ministries, and it's the Church on the Move School of Ministry. And joining me now is Steve Moore. And Steve, it's good to have you on the Workers Challenge.
Thank you, Jim. Glad to be here.
And Steve is the new dean of our School of Ministry, and that school is going to start when, Steve?
The school's going to start this September. Our registration will be September 8th right here at Church on the Move.
My goodness gracious. So it's time for these folks to start thinking about that and getting those registrations.
That's
We're
right.
taking registrations right now.
We sure are.
My goodness. Now, tell me exactly who the School of Ministry is really geared to.
Well, the School of Ministry is geared towards those people that would be interested in full-time youth or children's ministries. And the purpose of it is to train them effectively, to give them lots of practical hands-on experience, and this is the best place in the world to see that take place.
I am so excited about it, Steve, because, you know, I've been working with you on trying to get the different things going for the youth and children. And, you know, there's a lot of schools that teach theory, but there's not a lot of schools that really give hands-on ministry. And I know our school is really planning on doing that. Now, what are the school days that are going to be every week?
Well, the school day will run Tuesday through Saturday, so it's a little bit different than maybe some schools. We're going to give them Monday off because on Saturdays they're going to be involved with the Bus on the Move here at Church on the Move. And so it'll be Tuesday through Saturday. Classes will be Tuesdays and Thursdays, Wednesdays and Fridays, different subjects.
So not only will they be learning things in the classroom and methods and hands-on, but there'll be a place for people to really get involved and leave with not only an education, but experience.
Oh, they're going to leave with a lot of experience. There's no better place to get experience. The ministry here is so multifaceted. There's just so many areas they can be involved in. They can leave here with experience that they can't gain anywhere else.
Boy, I am so excited. And so all people have to do is just call us here at Willie George Ministries, area code 918-234-8109. And if you'll call that number that's here on the screen, that's our Christian Education Department, and request the information, and we'll send them a registration packet. Now, you were talking about it's for youth and children's folks, but also they're going to learn more than just youth and children's ministry.
Oh yes, they're going to learn things in regard to Bible doctrines. We're going to put them through some courses that'll give them a good, solid biblical foundation for ministry, and you combine that with the experience they're going to gain, and they'll go out of here a powerhouse for the gospel.
Amen. And we want to invite you, if you would like to be a part of the Church on the Move School of Ministry, we invite you to call this number on the screen, 918-234-8109, and we'd like to send you a registration packet on how you can be a part of this school this September. So we want you to be a part of that. Pray about it. There's a place for you. And thanks so much for watching us right here on the Workers Challenge.